changing your life one story at a time. This is the Chicken Soup for the Soul podcast with Editor-in-Chief Amy Newmark.
Hey, it's Amy Newmark with your daily dose of Chicken Soup for the Soul inspiration to make you simply happy. It's Motivational Monday, and today I'm going to share a tip from my new book, Simply Happy. One of the points I make in the book is that I found my own child-raising years to be relatively easy because I let my kids make the decisions about things that didn't matter so that I could make sure that the things that did matter went well. In our podcast back on October 13th, I talked about how I gave my children coupons that they could present to me to have control over when they got a limited number of special privileges over the course of the year. The coupons were for things like staying up an hour past bedtime or having a soda. And I used the same philosophy when it came to the kids' clothing. I gave them more responsibility for their decisions at an earlier age than most people would. I had actually gotten the idea for this when we were at Disney World. I used to love going to Disney World with the kids. But there was one downside, and that was souvenirs. The kids would drive me nuts asking for souvenirs, to the point that when we were in the stores, I would try to block my daughter's view of the stuffed animals, and I would try to block my son's view of the superhero items. I was so tired of hearing them ask for stuff. And then I discovered something called Disney dollars, which back then were printed on paper with a Mickey Mouse on each bill. And the next time we went to Disney World, I bought each child $50 Disney dollars to spend on souvenirs. Well, once they were in control and they had a budget, they started evaluating every purchase in every gift shop. And it was like they worked for Consumer Reports. And they actually returned home with half their Disney dollars unspent. So that gave me an idea, because I was at my wit's end over Mike's remarkable ability to lose his clothes. The last straw was when he lost his brand new blazer. The kids had a dress code, and it could get expensive. And Mike was 12, and he went off to the first day of school in a brand new navy blue blazer. And he came home wearing a bedraggled old one that barely fit him. And I said, "What happened to your blazer?" I mean, it cost me $100, and I had bought it just a little too big for him so that it would last the entire school year. And he said, "Oh, my friend Gideon needed a larger jacket, so I swapped with him." So that was it for me. I decided it was time to change the dynamic in our household. I sat the kids down, I laid out their annual clothing budget, and I said their father and I would give them half their budget in the fall and half in the spring. And that changed everything. I drove them to the stores, we shopped together, and then we each paid for our own purchases. If Mike lost something, it was not my problem. And he learned a lesson about caring for his possessions. There were no more arguments about clothing, no pleading for more, no frustration on either side. We actually had fun when we went shopping together. I know that giving children their own budgets at ages 10 and 12 was unusual, but it worked great for us. And the advice columnist Abigail Van Buren summed it up perfectly when she said the following: "If you want children to keep their feet on the ground, put some responsibility on their shoulders." And that's what I did, literally. I gave my children the responsibility for what they wore on their shoulders. Mike became much more careful, although he did lose his blazer one more time. It was funny because it was the night before an important ninth grade event. And with my new attitude, I just laughed when he had to wear this awful, ugly pastel plaid jacket that he found in the Lost and Found. So it might have looked like I was a permissive parent giving my kids all that money, but in fact, I was raising kids who learned early to budget their money, value their privileges, and accept responsibility for their decisions and their possessions. It worked because I was focused on winning the big battles and not the unimportant skirmishes. Tomorrow is Tip Tuesday, and we're going to talk about the upcoming holidays and the way that one person found to make them happy instead of stressful. I'm Amy Newmark. Thanks for listening to the Chicken Soup for the Soul podcast today. Please make my producers happy. Give us a review on the iTunes page. And if you'd like to learn more about the tips in my Simply Happy book, please check it out on our website, chickensoup.com.